What can we do to really bring a bit deeper insight in what music and food can kind of amplify to each other? Nu dat ik aan het vertellen ben, is het al heel warm. Make-up. A restaurant for me is a location where people come to have a good time, to be relaxed, to enjoy, to feel happy and to feel good. All my dishes are composed with an idea of storytelling. And I think music is kind of that same idea. I think that whole triact is very, very similar. It has to do with your own mood, with your own emotional identity at that moment, and it's just a translation of your own feelings. So I think if I create a dish or a musician composes a music track, the way how they try to accomplish that point is very similar.
Producing a track versus being a chef or cooking, similarities, but in the end completely different things, because it would mean that every chef is also a great producer, musician, and I don't think that's the case. Why did I join the Sound of the Chain? Because I've never been to the place, and I hoped I will get a reservation or a table more easily if I do some work for it. And it, of course, is a challenge to work with field recordings or sound recordings from a restaurant/kitchen and try to make something out of it that sounds like music. My approach to create something out of all these recordings and make it into a full-fledged track. I usually work with people, so I have an engineer who always mixes down the music, and I have like session players. So I knew, okay, if for instance, there's a recording of the dough, of someone making the dough, and I was like, okay, this should be the kick, you know, and I love oysters. That's why I also worked with my alter ego DJ Oyster on this. And I knew I somehow have to integrate that sound of opening an oyster with it. And yeah, it was a bit like making it up as you go, you know, you start with the dough and set a tempo, and then you add the ingredients. So to get back to an earlier question, maybe it's a bit like cooking, especially in this case.
Together with Peter, actually, the idea came up to go a bit deeper than just, you know, playing that 6-hour DJ set during lunch or dinner times. And that talk was actually a great conversation, because from me as a chef and him as a producer and an artist, we really felt that what we were trying to do was kind of really play with people, their senses. So I think with that kind of a thing, senses was the whole start of this project. And what I really felt with electronic music is that people on the dance floor really got into this kind of hypnosis modus. And for me, there was such a strong visual and audio impact. Seeing people dancing together, experiencing that music together, seeing a DJ perform, and not even constantly being focused on that DJ, but just really listening to that electronic music, for me was something that hit my heart like straight. I think what people will experience with the vinyl of Enclose is musical diversity. I think that what I'm very proud about is that we have a great variety of artists. And I think that the tracks that have been produced are very diverse. And I think that is exactly what we as a restaurant, as a location, and as a food and beverage concept also try to be. Diversity, you know, not focusing on one certain group of people, but being there for a really wide audience. And I think that is also exactly what the vinyl is showcasing. So within the spectrum of electronic music, I think you find a very interesting diversity in artists, in how they've been composing, but also in style of all using those same snippets and audio fragments. So the diversity within that spectrum is something I think is very significant for this project.